Hi there, hi, good morning everyone. This is Liz Davis. I am a nutritionist and I specialise in digestive health for busy women. So I help busy women fix their reflux issues, painful digestion, IBS and so on, any kind of related hormone problems. And I do this with usually state-of-the-art gut testing, hormone testing if we need it, and then dietary and lifestyle upgrades to bring things back into balance for you. So parasites, it's something that quite often crops up on a stool test and your immediate reaction is usually something of horror. Oh gosh, I need to get in and eliminate these quickly. But really, the fact of the matter is that these parasites probably have been living in your gut for a long time, and they may or may not be the main cause of your problems. So basically then, a parasite is something that lives off of another creature. So it could be, for example, living on your skin. You've probably got lots of parasites living on your skin and they're eating dead skin cells and things like that. Other examples of parasites are things like intestinal worms. Malaria actually is caused by a parasite as well. So you can get parasites that actually aren't too bad for you and can sometimes be quite helpful, to some that can be quite deadly. So there's a whole spectrum there of parasites. So when we're talking about gut health specifically, there are some strains that can cause your typical IBS type symptoms. So they will generally show up on a stool test. Ones that typically show up are things like blastocystis hominis or diantoamoeba fragilis. Those two crop up quite regularly. And they may or may not be causing your gut symptoms. They're probably playing a part, but they're not necessarily the underlying reason why they're there. So for example, you could have had a dysbiotic gut environment to start with, and this has allowed the parasites to flourish, or it can work the other way as well. You possibly could have got parasites and then that's caused the dysbiotic situation to occur. So aside from all that, it's always really important to run a fully comprehensive stool test if you have any kind of gut problems, because that shows us what the overall health of your gut is looking like. So we need to know what's given rise to this situation in the first place. So some kind of, your typical kind of treatment for parasites, and it's always very tempting to, as soon as you know you've got them, to think, oh, I just want to eliminate them immediately. We would be reaching for very strong antimicrobial herbs, things like oregano, berberine, for example. They're very strong and you can only use those for a very limited period of time, because if you use them for too long, or even if you don't sometimes, they can cause further damage to the microbiome, which is absolutely what we want to avoid doing. So this is why it's really important to zoom out, have a look at the overall gut health, the gut environment, and find out what's driving it in the first place. So we need to find out if your gut function is okay, what the rest of your microbiome is looking like, and then take it from there. So sometimes if we do that, it may not even be necessary to use these very strong herbal antimicrobials. And then when we do want to use them, we only really need to use them for a very limited period of time. And therefore that avoids too much damage going on. So what you can do though is there's a few foods that are very helpful. So what you could try is eating something like garlic and onions. Garlic and onions are very high FODMAP foods, so they don't necessarily agree with everybody who has gut problems because they can be quite hard to digest. If you can digest them though, they contain sulfur compounds which are really helpful for getting on top of parasitic infections. Ginger as well is antimicrobial and effective against parasites, so that's another useful one. You can use that as like herbal infusions. You can chop it up and pour water on. That is lovely. Or just add it to your cooking very liberally is a nice way to use it as well. Papaya and pineapple are both fabulous for your gut health and also have anti-parasitic effects as well. Coconut oil is a great gut health all-rounder, Probiotic foods such as kefir or kimchi can be useful as well. I would avoid using those if you're at the very beginning of your gut health journey, or if your gut feels very compromised, because sometimes they can just add insult to injury. You're pouring more bacteria into an unhealthy into a gut which has an unhealthy bacterial balance, which can be a problem as well. So I'd avoid those really, unless you've tested and know what you're doing, because you can make the situation worse. Apple cider vinegar, again, very simple and something you can add to your diet to kind of really help your gut environment as well. But do watch out for your teeth, because it is very acidic and it can be not great for your teeth. Okay, so just to summarize there, a parasitic infection can sound horrifying. It probably isn't quite as bad as you think, and it's probably part of an overall problematic gut environment that testing can usually get to the bottom of, and provide the basis for a very effective program that gets rid of the parasites if we need to do that, and also maintains your gut health going forward. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. If you did, do like and share, and I shall see you next time. Bye.